My name is Holly Stockett. I'm with Touched by Love International. I'm here today with Pastor Julius Nyambuoro. I know I didn't pronounce that correctly. Nyambuoro, from Kisumu, Kenya. Father Leo asked us to speak to you today and tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Kenya, what God is doing in the lives of the widows and the orphans in Kabondo, Kenya. I'm going to let Pastor Julius begin to tell you a little bit about our story.
Well, I'm so delighted to personally to meet Father Leo as a man of God, a man whom God is really going to be used in a mighty way in this state. As Sister Holly has just said that he wanted to at least know what we were doing in Kenya, I just want to you to know that in the year 2007 and 2008, we had a wonderful violence in Kenya as a result of the disputed presidential elections. And as a result of the violence, many parents were killed, and they left many children being orphans. And as a pastor in Kenya, it happens that I had another church branch in Kabondo, Kenya, which Sister Holly has just told you. And in this area, there were many orphans. And at the same time, it is badly hit by HIV/AIDS. And that also has swept quite a number of parents. And plus the number of parents who passed away because of violence, we have a good number of orphans. Since we are serving the Lord there to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in that area, to make people know what God can do in their lives, to help people change their lives, we had nothing to do or to say apart from starting caring for these children. And one of the things which we did first, in our church in Kisumu, we were doing some collecting some money, plus the church here in Kabondo also giving out some donations to take care of these children. At the same time, I requested the church members to help us house these children because we don't have any where to put them, where they can call a home. And as I was really in prayer, when I had the burden of these children, it touched my heart so much. And a friend invited me to the United States of America. And through that friend, she's doing a certain business. And it happens that that business could not really go together with what I was God called me to be doing there in that area. So fortunately enough, God made a way for me to know the family of the Stocketts. And this is why I came to know Sister Holly. And when I came here, I also realized that God has put in her heart the same vision which I'm having to taking care of these orphans and the vulnerable children. So this is why when I came here, we kind of joined together our church, Christ's Commission Fellowship in Kenya, and Touched by Love International, which is headed by Sister Holly, that we can come together, we can see means and ways on how we can really help the children. And in the year 2015, through my Sister Holly, he came with a team to Kenya from Engineering Ministry International, because we had a vision of building a children's home, a place where these children, vulnerable children and these orphans, can call a home. And maybe Sister Holly can say much about what the Engineering Ministries International did, because she's the one who knew them and the one who brought them to Kenya. Welcome, Sister Holly.
The vision that the Lord has given us is a vision to provide homes for these children that are family-style homes, that are culturally sensitive. Each home will have between 8 and 10 children and 2 house parents to take care of them. The village itself will be will have an infirmary, because currently there are no nearby medical facilities, and they need some place for the children when they're sick to go, and to have temporary help until they can get to a hospital. Also a community building that will serve as a church, a school, and a place for the community to gather, possibly bring some income in, and long-term to do some vocational training, both for the aged-out orphans as well as the widows in the area. As Pastor mentioned, the HIV epidemic is highest in that region of Kenya, and it's largely because of the poverty levels. Here in the United States, we don't really understand how this affects the people, and why poverty would make it such a problem. But because the women are still largely untrained and unschooled, they need to find a way to be able to provide for their children when their husbands leave to find work. And unfortunately, for many of these women, they have no choice but to sell their bodies in order to feed their children. And there's a great amount of shame in their eyes. They don't like what they're doing, and they want a way out. And we want to provide that way out for these women, and for their children to come, to provide a sustainable village that will enable them to pull themselves up with their bootstraps with the help of the Lord, and to be able to provide for their children and their children's children. And that's essentially the goal of Touched by Love, is to work with Pastor Julius and the church there to show the love of Christ through what we do, to be his hands and feet, and to enable the people to be able to see how precious they are, and develop a sense of pride in their lives through the gifts that God has given them. Touched by Love International can be found either on Facebook at https www.facebook.com/touchedbyloveint, or at touchedbyloveinternational.com, or you can reach me, Holly, at Stockett Holly at gmail.com. That's STOCKETT Holly at gmail.com. So in regions like Kabondo, it's very rural. The only water source for these people is the local river. They travel by foot to gather water in buckets. You call them jerry cans?
Yes.
And that is the water they use to cook with and to drink. That water is highly contaminated. The bacterial counts are off the charts. And these people are constantly sickened and often die from the waterborne diseases that cause cholera, typhoid, amoebic dysentery, and other such illnesses. They often miss work if they have work. They're unable to tend to the children the way they need to. The children miss school, and it has become a great issue for these people. Our long-term goal is to dig wells, but until then, we have found an organization that wants to partner with us called Uzima Water Filters, and they're out of Nakuru, Kenya. And these filters are about this big. They fit in a 2-bucket system. They cost approximately $40. Will serve a household. The average household is 6-8 people.
Yes.
And will last up to 10 years if they're properly maintained. There's no replaceable parts. There's no technology that needs to be learned. It's a very simple device that's based on kidney dialysis filtration. It filters out 99.9% of all the things that are cause these illnesses. So our goal is to provide as many people in the village, up to 3,000 filters, households, with these filters, so that these people can get their strength up, to be able to go to school, to go to work, and to become valuable assets to their communities, and to help sustain the village, to take this on as their own, because this is God's project. This is not about America. It's not about anybody. Not touched by love. This is God's dream for the people, and they need to own this. So we hope to help them to improve their health so that they can become part of this. In Lynette, they provided 12,000 filters, and they noticed an immediate change in their community, both in health, because they're no longer going to the clinics. They actually found that they were donating their medication to other clinics because they didn't need them anymore. People weren't going there with these illnesses. And because of that, because they weren't sick, they were going to work, they were making more money, they weren't missing school, and now they're in a different place economically, which is just it's an amazing thing, just a simple thing. They can contact us, go on to our site at touchedbyloveinternational.com. Yeah, and that also includes the training of the people in hygiene, proper hygiene, and the transportation of the materials too. So,
confirm what my sister is saying, that concerning the water problems in Kenya. I personally, through her, she contacted that organization on my behalf, and they sent to me one water purifier. And before, we are using quite a lot of money to buy these mineral waters. They are really expensive. Before. A small bottle in Kenya, it goes to 40 shillings, a small bottle. But that's only a person. And in my family, we are many people. Like now, 8 in number. And even if there are visitors, we can't really afford buying for all of them this water. But since I received that water purifier, all those monies are really helping us in many ways in the house. So to really help the people in the best way, this water purifier is a very, very good thing, and it is going to really encourage the people and also help them to really have a good economy. And especially the mothers, who cannot really go here and there. But this thing will really help them. I personally, it is helping me, even at the moment. Again, despite the work, the burden which God has given us to care for these children, as the servant of God, it is one way to meet their physical needs. We also have to meet their spiritual needs. And this is why God has given us also that burden to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. After meeting their physical needs, we reach their spiritual needs with the gospel at the same time, so that they may really come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. So we really have a lot of challenges in our work there. To start with, in Kisumu, our main church, the mother church, right now we don't have a good place of fellowship. We only have a structure, church structure. And the land where we put that structure does not belong to us. So I left when we started doing some collections, fundraising, so that we may get some money to purchase a piece of land, and also, if possible, to build a good place where we can really worship our God, to receive all the glory and honor, because that same God is the God who really opened the doors, for as many people as possible, even organizations, to come out to help us, taking care of these children, and also the widows and the entire community, and also to support the work of God which God has given us. So we really look forward to get some friends or churches or friends who can be willing to pray with us in collecting some money at the same time to send to us through my sister Holly here, so that we may be able to purchase a land and also to buy, to construct for the Lord a good place of worship, so that people may see that our Lord we are really honoring Him. Yeah, so this part of the challenges which we are really having, and also in the ministry, we lack things like public address system. When we want to plan for a crusade, we are really just hiring a PA system. And we work in the slum areas. People who are very poor, they can't really afford buying this. Whatever they are giving out, we use in hiring the instruments. PA system. So it is really a problem to us. So we really need much of the prayers that our Heavenly Father may use anybody somewhere, because He has said that silver and gold belongs to Him, and the riches of the world also belongs to Him. He can use His children in the world here and to, do their very best, so that they can help us, so that we may also do our very best to our Heavenly Father, so that God may be with us in a special way. It is one thing for us to put up, Lord willing, to put up this children's home and give them, water filters. It is another thing to sustain this project. And in my heart, I was really praying that if the Lord willing, He may use any organization or any church to help us get a kind of a project which will really help us generate the funds from Kenya, not from America. The funds from Kenya. So we will generate the money by ourselves, which will sustain this this project in future, because it must be going on. It must be supported. So I do believe that if we can get any means of generating the money from ourselves, can really be of a great importance to us. And also a project can be something like agricultural project. That is one. Two, we can have a radio station. That is also another good project, which is really paying a lot of money. And if we get such kind of a project, we can really be self-supporting in whatever we shall be doing there. We will even support the gospel. We can support the pastors. We can support the crusades, seminars, and all this. Even if we can maybe invite some friends from this country to go and teach or lecture our people over there. We'll just support it by ourselves. So any project which will be an income generating project will highly be welcomed to be a source of the sustainability of this project. It is our prayer that God may use you, the churches here, friends here, any organization which will come out, that we may see the reality in the vision which God has given to us. If not so, I do pray that God may really bless all of you.
Each of us have been given the gift of being able to feed into this in some way, whether it's through monetary or through volunteering, through coming on a mission trip. There are many ways that you can be part of this vision that God has for these people. It's a privilege and it's an honor to work with these people. They are amazing people. Pastor Julius is probably the most upright man I've ever met. Very humble, and would give his very last bit of food to feed the orphans. And so I want to encourage you to consider prayerfully helping in some way with this project. Any monetary donations are tax deductible. We are a registered 501c3, and you will be blessed. I guarantee you. God is an amazing God. As many of you know, Touched by Love was established about 3-4 years ago after we met Pastor Julius. His brief trip here, looking for help for his orphans, the orphans that we work with in Kabondo, Kenya. There's about 60 of them who were largely orphaned from post-election violence as well as the HIV epidemic. We work together with him trying to provide a better way of life for these children, to be the hands and feet of Jesus. These children have nothing, but they have a God that loves them very deeply. When we were first called to go to Kenya, I asked the Lord what he wanted me to say to the people, because Pastor Julius wanted me to speak before the people in Kabondo. And I didn't feel that I was equipped to tell them anything because they had given me so much of a blessing. And the Lord told me very clearly, I want you to tell them I love them.
Praise God.
I want you to tell them that I have not forgotten them, that I have a hope and a future for them, that I've heard their cries. And it just amazed me that God would do such a thing, that he would have me travel to this little place in Western Kenya to tell these people that he loved them. So what a mighty God we serve. Currently what we're doing, we're hoping to build a children's village that consists of about, I think 7-8 houses that will house the children as well as house parents for them. They're in family-style homes that are culturally sensitive, that will provide a building that can function as a school and a church for them, as well as a small infirmary, because there are no medical facilities in the area, and it's very treacherous for them just not to have anywhere to go, especially while they're waiting for public transportation to get them to the hospital. Our long-term goal is to get a vehicle as well for them so that they can travel the hour or so to get to a hospital. We also are working with clean water because the people there in Kabondo are constantly sick. They are sickened by cholera and typhoid and dysentery, amoebic dysentery, often dying from illnesses that could have been prevented or treated because of the lack of medical facilities. We have partnered with Uzima water filters out of Nakuru, and for $40 we were able to provide a family of 8 with clean water. Basically these filters filter out 99.9% of all the bacteria and amoebas that cause these illnesses, and they will last for up to 10 years. No replaceable parts. It's very simple design and doesn't take any special learning to use. So we're hoping to cover the entire village with these filters so that the people can take part in helping to create the village for these children, to create a life for them, and make this their project, because it isn't isn't a project for us. It's a project for them. This is God's vision for them. So we're working together with Pastor to try to improve their lives. We're doing working with around a feeding program. We hope to do vocational training down the line for the women and the aged out orphans so that they can take an active part in improving their lives and being able to provide for their own children and break out of the cycle of poverty. But it's just astounding how God has done this every step along the way. It's been miracle after miracle, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what I try to do. God qualifies the unqualified, I can tell you that much, because I am not qualified. But he's an amazing God, and I try to get things done, and he does it a different way, and it's always the best way. So that Touched by Love, we are looking for volunteers to help us in many ways using gifts, especially need somebody to help us with our website, if anybody knows of anyone. You can partner with us by providing clean water for these people. Pastor Julius is also hoping to have partners for the church there to help get a permanent structure up for their churches, because right now it's just pole buildings with some sheet metal here and there and little tarps, and it gets very loud and very wet when it rains, and it's not a very good situation. But God deserves the glory to have a structure for these people, and the pastor needs support himself to be able to serve the people the way he needs to. So those are some of the ways. You can contact Touched by Love at www.touchedbylove.com, or you can go on Facebook under Touched by Love, and there are some secure giving sites through PayPal. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Are you looking for people to go?
Yeah, I'm also looking for people who want to go to Kenya. Anyone who wants to go on a mission trip, that would be wonderful blessing to the people. And then they can speak to me.
All right. Praise the Lord.
Thank you. Glory to